2 months ago, I got a comment from one of you guys telling me to check out the band Ferocity. And this was in correlation to all the videos I was doing about prison crime and its relationship with the artists and bands that make music while in the environment of either prison or having a very criminal lifestyle. And reading into this comment, I realized that the band Ferocity is in connection to this group called the Beasts of Satan. For those who are unaware, the Beasts of Satan were an Italian satanic group consisting of 8 members. Of the 8 members affiliated with the Beasts of Satan, it was estimated by authorities that they were in connection to 22 homicides, although only 4 of those homicides have been confirmed. It's often regarded as one of the most infamous criminal events to happen in modern-day Italy, even such networks as the BBC calling it one of the most shocking crimes in post-war Italy. Upon doing more research on the Beasts of Satan, and seeing that it's often stated as the most infamous crime to happen in modern-day Italy, I came to the realization very quickly that this story has been covered numerous times by so many different individuals here on YouTube, and dozens upon dozens of articles and journalists covering this story as well throughout the years. So I just want to be upfront with you from the start. I'm not really going to be talking about anything that hasn't been discussed before by someone else. But the reason as to why I am doing a video of it here on my channel, to put it short, it's one of the most bleak, grim, and insane stories I've ever read relating to the scene of extreme metal that just personally for me, I feel like it needs its own video here on my channel. With that all addressed, let's finally get into the story of the Beasts of Satan. So let me address right from the start that the Beasts of Satan were not a metal band. I bring this up because I came across a few articles that stated that the Beasts of Satan were a metal band that committed murders. That's not the case. Once again, the Beasts of Satan were the satanic cult, the satanic group, satanic sect, whatever you want to call it, inner circle, whatever have you, that was affiliated with the metal scene in northern Italy during the mid to late 90s. And of all the members that were associated with the Beasts of Satan, 5 of them were active with various metal bands in northern Italy during this time. Of those 5 members, you have Fabio Tolis, a 16-year-old that was a part of 2 metal bands. He was the vocalist for a death thrash band called Affliction, as well as being a part of Ferocity, the band I talked about at the beginning of this video, as he played both drum and bass on the debut demo. Mario Miccione, who was involved in 3 metal bands, one of which again being Ferocity, which I talked about earlier, only he did the vocals and guitars for the demo work of Ferocity, once again in vein of brutal death grind. Then later on he was involved with a band called Nobody, a very short-lived band that only released 1 demo that plays in the style of technical brutal death metal, so think of something like Suffocation. That once again he plays both vocals and guitars on this demo, and apparently he was a part of a black metal band called Psycho Blasphemy. And I say apparently because it's listed on the Metal Archives that he was involved with it, although I could find absolutely no information regarding a Psycho Blasphemy band anywhere from Discogs or any kind of Google search. Along with Andrea Volpe and Elizabeth Ballerine, again, apparently involved with the Psycho Blasphemy band I just talked about a second ago. And finally would be Marco Zimpolo, which as well, he would play the guitars on the technical brutal death metal band I talked about earlier, Nobody. While all of these bands and projects were starting up and releasing material throughout the mid-90s, the momentum would hit a massive roadblock into a downward spiral when you get to the year of 1998. So as the story goes, in January of 1998, Fabio Tolis and his girlfriend Chiara Marino spent a Saturday night at a local bar called the Midnight Pub. The Midnight Pub was often looked as a hot spot for the metal scene of the local area, and Fabio and his girlfriend wanted to attend it to see a metal gig basically. But also at that show were some of the members of the Beast of Satan. One of the members that attended that gig that night was Andrea Volpe, the so-called leader of this cult, who always kind of viewed Fabio as somewhat of a threat in this kind of like higher power type of a viewpoint of how the cult would be created, and he wanted to teach him a lesson. Sadly, that lesson would come at the cost of both Fabio and his girlfriend. So Andrea Volpe, along with the members of the Beast of Satan, convinced both Fabio and Chiara to leave the midnight pub and join them on a car ride to a nearby woods just outside of Somma Lombardo. In the secluded area deep in the woods, all the members would partake in drinking alcohol, taking drugs, and engaging in a satanic ritual. That satanic ritual being that the members of the Beast of Satan were going to sacrifice Fabio Tolas's girlfriend, Chiara Marino, because her facial features resembled the Virgin Mary. Obviously, as one would expect, Fabio Tolas was completely against this idea of his girlfriend being murdered right in front of him, trying to save her, only sadly to be overpowered by the multiple members that were there, and Fabio Tolas was sadly beaten to death with a hammer, while his girlfriend, Chiara Marino, was stabbed to death. It only gets more sickening, twisted, and disturbing moments after the murder, because one of the members then took chestnut leaves, shoved it down their lifeless bodies, got a cigarette, dipped it in their blood, smoked it, and screamed, "Now you're both zombies. Try to get out of this hole if you dare." Soon after, both Fabio and Chiara's bodies were buried in that forest, and there was an investigation as for the disappearance of them too. Only the case went cold as local authorities chopped it down to just two lovers running away, and everyone just settled with that outcome, other than Fabio's father, Michele Tolas, who did his own personal investigation with this event, which I'll be talking about him later on in this video. Before I go any further with the story of Beast of Satan, I just want to take a moment of pause here and just wonder as to how something like this happens. Like, yeah, I know I stated earlier that Andrea Volpe, the leader of Beast of Satan, viewed Fabio Tolas as a threat in this hierarchy power struggle, that he wanted to teach him a lesson by sacrificing his girlfriend, which is absolutely messed up. But just looking at all of this and looking at the time period, I'm wondering, like, how do we get to this point of a satanic cult and doing all of these events? And seeing that the Beasts of Satan are affiliated with extreme metal like black metal and death metal, and it's all in the 90s, I can't help but feel like this was inspired or like somewhat of like this weird continuation of what happened in Norway during the early 90s and mid 90s with the whole like Lords of Chaos events with Burzum, church burnings, mayhem, the things that happened with Emperor, the murders and the suicides. I can't help but feel like the Beast of Satan, the more and more I read into this story, it just feels like it's this weird spiritual continuation of it. It's just something that was just on my mind that I felt like I needed to address. By all means, agree or disagree with me on this, but the similarities between the two, I can't help but express a little bit of concern here. Getting back on track here, what also makes this story really grim about the Beast of Satan is not only the future homicides that I'll be talking about later on in this video, but all the members affiliated with the Beast of Satan to the members affiliated with the bands that were connected with the Beast of Satan all just continued on as if nothing ever happened. Case in point, when you look at the band Ferocity, which Fabio was a part of at its beginning with the demo, the second act, where he contributed his talents both on the bass and drums, the project just continued on as Mario Machone, who was affiliated with the murder of Fabio, never stopped making music. When you look at their second demo called The Book of Silence, which is a really messed up and eerie title to give a demo given the circumstances, was released in 1999, only a year after the murder of Fabio. All the while, there would be more inner turmoil within the group of the Beast of Satan. It would only be 6 months after the murder of Fabio that another member of the Beast of Satan would fall victim to it. that being Andrea Boldati. See, the reason for the demise of Andrea Boldati has to do with the fact that Andrea Volpe, the leader of the Beast of Satan, doubted the commitment of Andrea Boldati, considering the fact that 6 months prior, with the murder of Fabio and his girlfriend, Andrea Boldati did not participate in that. So in September of 1998, Andrea Boldati was heavily intoxicated through the consumption of alcohol, got in his car, crashed it, and it ended up killing him. And it's widely speculated that one, if not all of the members of the Beast of Satan heavily influenced Andrea Boldati to do such action. The last and only other confirmed homicide by the Beast of Satan would happen in January of 2004, the victim being Mariangela Pissotta. Mariangela was the ex-girlfriend to that of Andrea Volpe. And Andrea believed that Mariangela was this loose end that had to be getting rid of, as she knew kind of already too much as to what happened in previous events with the Beast of Satan. Andrea Volpe ended up committing homicide to Mariangela by shooting her in the throat and mutilating her body, which surprisingly did not end up ending her life, as she was still alive through all of those heinous acts. But Andrea Volpe ended up burying her alive in the town's greenhouse, not far out from the house that Mariangela was residing in. But during the same night, this would be the downfall for not only just Andrea Volpe, but all of the Beasts of Satan, because right after burying the body of Mariangela, he tried getting rid of her car to make it less suspectful that something happened to her by driving it into the nearby river. The only problem is that Andrea Volpe was high off of just heroin and cocaine, and obviously with his vision being impaired, having been taking those drugs, not only didn't end up getting rid of the car, but also crashed it, which led to the police apprehending him. Shortly after Andrea Volpe was arrested, he confessed to the murder of Mariangela. To this day, it's been confirmed that there are 4 homicides linked to the members of Beast of Satan, while there are another 14 suspected homicides linked to them that haven't been confirmed, but it's a safe bet to assume so, considering the time period in which these homicides or quote-unquote suicides would happen, and considering the violent nature of everyone in the Beast of Satan, and considering as well that they just know all of these individuals in some sense, it's safe to assume that at least one, if not, again, all of the members are part of these other, suspected homicides. It's just never been confirmed because every single member was pointing fingers at each other. The real hero of the story would be Mikel Tolis, the father of that to Fabio Tolis, who, back when Fabio Tolis was convinced of leaving the Midnight Pub to go with the members of Beast of Satan out into the woods, what really happened is Mikel got a call from his son Fabio Tolis. Fabio Tolis stated to Mikel that he wanted to spend a night at his girlfriend's and he wasn't going to come home. And Mikel Tolis really didn't buy into that. And when he tried calling the Midnight Pub again, it was too late, as Fabio Tolis was already off with all the members of the Beast of Satan to head to that, satanic ritual. And what makes him such a hero in this story is he never really bought into the idea that his son just ran off with his girlfriend, and he spent 6 years of his life investigating all the members that he had suspicion of involving in with his son's disappearance. Those 6 years that Mikel Tolis spent was just investigating, tracking down, and keeping tabs in any which way that he personally could on all the individuals that he suspected involvement with his son's disappearance, as he would basically follow all of the members of the Beast of Satan really all around the country, from all the gigs and shows that they would do or where they would attend, to tracking down really anything that they would do, all the people that they would keep in contact with. And with that 6 years of his own investigation, all the information that he gathered, he presented it to the authorities when Andrea Volpe was finally, arrested for his involvement with the murder of his girlfriend. and presenting all of his information of his private investigation to the police. It led to really all the beans spilling through as to what all of, again, the Beast of Satan were all about, its members, the crimes that were committed with it, and that's why the year after, in 2005, this is where we get all of the, court dates and all the really information and accusations from all the different members of Beast of Satan shine through. After the court dates were all said and done, every single member was sentenced to prison for a sentencing between either 15 to 25 years, give or take, other than Nicola Sapone, as she was considered to be the mastermind of all of the confirmed homicides that happened during the reign of the Beast of Satan, and she was sentenced to life in prison. As insane of a story that this is, dealing with serial killers performing satanic rituals within the realms of extreme metal, the aftermath is just as intense. For starters, since Italy is such a religious country and it was dealing with this satanic ritual killing, as they were kind of viewing it as, a Roman Catholic university that was connected to the Vatican started offering 2-month courses to priests in Italy to help them deal with diabolical possessions and perform exorcisms. There was even a priest, that being Don Aldo Bonato, believed that death metal should have been banned outright in all of Italy, stating that if music makes itself into an instrument for nefarious deeds of death, it should be stopped. And the nationwide panic didn't stop there, as Italy tried even incorporating a special police kind of like task force to deal with primarily religious groups, that being of course Satanists, as they were putting it out, making it almost kind of come off like as if there was like this, satanic underground movement going on that needed to be cleansed by a certain police task force. Which I gotta admit, the Satanic Panic definitely hit different areas differently. As when I think of the Satanic Panic, it comes from here in the United States, back in the 80s, what it all had to do with music, heavy metal, the imagery, the sound of it. Even Dungeons and Dragons, the game to a certain extent, I think was kind of like involved with all of that stuff. Which it all kind of seemed like we were upset with like the fairy tale aspect of Satanism and how like evil it looked by, again, its aesthetics, where the Satanic Panic in Italy really just stems from solely the Beast of Satan. Since then, a handful of the members of Beast of Satan have actually gotten out of prison. 2 in particular that really stand out to me would be Andrea Volpe, again, as he got out back in 2020, and as it states online, he's currently at a university studying science. But the one that's really eyebrow-raising is Mario Machone, who was released on parole back in 2017. To this day, he's still active releasing music, and he's been on a handful of podcasts. Some you can search up here on YouTube and listen to him, along with a few other interviews, and he's even written a book. All the podcasts and even the book that he wrote has to deal with the fact of him coming to terms with what he did wrong, denouncing Satanism, and really kind of giving his own narrative as to what all the events were kind of to him during his time, which I do appreciate, I guess, in some aspects that he is at least aware of what he did wrong. The whole denounce of Satanism, I guess, in the environment is kind of a big deal, considering that Satanic Panic was only a little under 20 years ago for Italy. So I understand that, but it's really kind of difficult to look at Mario Machone considering what the Beast of Satan did, from what was confirmed to the others that they were suspected to, which really starts, having the body toll kind of rise up quite a bit, and just kind of look at him and think, all is forgiven, I guess. As for the musical projects that Mario Machone was a part of, from my understanding, everything that you can at least see online on Metal Archives anyway, there's no information as to what releases these projects did, or any demos or albums you can listen to, other than the names of them. And it all has to do with the fact that all these projects were stuff that Mario Machone was a part of while he was incarcerated, and playing along and writing music with other inmates while he was in prison. Those projects being War Grind Zero, Face the Wave, and an ambient project named after Mario Machone. As for the brutal death grind band Ferocity that Mario Machone was a part of, he did still release, or at least create, material under that project's name while in prison, only now it has a bit more of like this industrial edge to it, mainly because of the programmed drums. And it's not listed on the Metal Archives, as I believe it never got like an actual release, although they are kind of listed on the notes as they were recorded but just never meant to be listened to in the public. However, they have been posted on YouTube. One that really stands out to me, just because of how blunt the name of the release is just simply titled In the Prison. In conclusion, I feel like I've stated everything that needed to be stated about this whole story, of all the information that I've gathered. Without a doubt, one of the most grim and bleak stories I've ever come across relating to some sense with extreme metal. Again, it's widely considered by many as one of the most violent things that ever happened in Italy post World War II. And it's incredible just how out of control things got, and just how infamous this has kind of scarred Italy in some sense, at least religiously. And it's a story that I just felt like needed to be discussed here on my channel. And that'll do it for this video, guys. Like always, links provided to everything I talked about will be in the description below. Hopefully you discovered something new or interesting. If you have anything you want to add or share about the Beast of Satan, please let me know in the comments below. And that is that. So like always, guys, make sure you guys drink plenty of water to stay hydrated, and have a great day.